Hello, YouTube family. This is Brother John, and um, Elizabeth is here with me also. And she might tune in and pipe in and ask me some questions because today we're going to be doing something a little different, and I'm going to be bringing to you my journey to the refuge. It started approximately 3 years ago in Florida, the state of Florida, and I was fully employed working at a company and just living my life. I was listening to YouTube one day, and I was listening to near-death experiences. I had an interest in that. I always like to go back and hear people's experiences as they've gone to heaven or even to hell. I think it's healthy every now and then to see into the other side and get some encouragement and inspiration from people that have done so, and especially increases our hope when you think about heaven, and also it increases our fear when we know the alternative, and helps to keep us in line a little bit. And so I was listening to near-death experiences on YouTube, and there was in my feed, one of the upcoming videos was a new one that I had never heard before from a person named Mother Claire, who is part of a Heartdwellers ministry. And it was my first experience was in listening to her. She receives messages from the Lord. I know what some of you are thinking. And I grew up in a fundamentalist faith, Christian faith, and grew up, even went to school to become a preacher in that faith and to learn the Bible. I really wanted to study the Bible in a full-time setting, and so I went to Bible school for that. And so I wasn't too inclined to listen to people who claim to hear from the Lord. After all, the Bible is all we need. And so I believed. But as I listened to this message, the Holy Spirit, I believe, put it on my heart to listen to this message. And I recognized that the Lord was speaking through Mother. And some people would say, well, she was channeling the Lord. And however you want to think of it, the Lord was speaking to her, and she was putting it down on paper and then recording it as a message from the Lord. And it rang true. I didn't hear any contradictions with the scriptures as I listened to her. And it was the Lord speaking to her about the times. And this was back when President Trump was running for election, and he even told her that Donald would be our new president, our next president. And that seemed crazy at the time, and I was already inclined to vote for President Trump anyway. But so I began to listen to her messages, Hard-Dweller Ministry messages, and on YouTube. And after a while, I learned many things, and that didn't contradict with the scriptures. It was very important to me. One of them was receiving the Lord every day and taking communion every day. And that really, really changed my life when I started to do that. The Lord, through Mother Claire, his messages told us that he wanted us to receive him every day. And that also, very important teaching that came from those early messages that I listened to was regarding the communion service, that it really was his body and his blood. And he referenced John chapter 6 and how that he said it over and over. And as I was honestly looking at the scriptures, I came to an understanding where Jesus said, this is my body and this is my blood. But I digress. I don't want to get into doctrinal teachings here. But that was one of the reasons why I began to listen and why I began to receive the Lord. And what it did was it started to change me on the inside as I received the Lord every day. Very important doctrine, I think, that a lot of fundamentalist Christians miss out on. And but it was very important for me, and it changed my life. So as I listened to Heartdwellers messages, they got deplatformed from YouTube, and so I reached out because I was in the IT industry, and working with web pages, websites, and things like that, and I offered to help, and I started a relationship with Heartdwellers and ministries, and Mother Claire and the webmaster, Brother Mike. And so I started, getting to know them and talking to them. And then the Lord um, told Mother Claire that it was time now to begin a refuge, a community, and where she lived here in New Mexico. And they the Lord was putting out the call for people to come and help with the refuge, and I was open to that. I grew up in a kind of a farming setting where my dad was in construction and carpenter, and so I was familiar with the kinds of things that you would need for building, especially in an off-grid environment. And so the Lord spoke to my heart and gave me rhemas about it that really encouraged me to consider being um, a part of this ministry. And so after much prayer and the Lord working through my life, I made a decision to sell my house, to quit my high-paying job, and to do what the Lord wanted. And it hasn't been the same since. The So I joined up with Heartdwellers. The journey here was quite interesting too. The brother Mike, the webmaster, lived fairly close to where I lived in Florida, and a few hours away. And so as I talked to him, he was hearing the same thing. The Lord was talking to him about going and helping out with this refuge, and he was already full time working with the ministry anyway. And so he and I decided to make the move from Florida to New Mexico. And when I sold my house, the Lord, He worked the whole way. As soon as I made that decision to join the ministry, to do His will, He just made everything so easy. Within a couple of weeks, I didn't even have to put my house on the market. My house cleaning lady came and saw that I was wanting to sell the house, and she ended up buying the house. And it was just so amazing. And the way the Lord worked at the company that I was a pretty big part of, He brought people there that could take my place and do the things that I was doing, so that it wouldn't hurt the company and hurt the people that were working there. And it was just so amazing how He worked. And I got lots of support from people I loved to join this ministry. And of course, there was people who didn't understand and didn't support it from the faith that I was a part of. But I was a leader. I was a teacher. I did a lot of things at the little congregation I was a part of, and they just didn't understand. And I couldn't really help them understand as well as I would have liked. But I just needed to do what the Lord wanted me to do, and not what other people would have liked me to do. And that included my parents, and who were a part of my life still, and big part in how I was raised and the faith that I had. And so anyway, Mike and I took this journey from Florida to New Mexico. It was in the middle of summer. We were told by the Lord that He wanted, so many hermitages built by September, and it was already June, I believe, maybe July, and that kind of freaked me out. But He made things happen so fast that we were able to get out here and start working by September. And He didn't say a year, so I think by the following September we did have the hermitages built and the commons built and all the different parts of the community that we needed to have built. But on our way out here, Satan didn't like the fact that we were coming out to help, and we had all kinds of problems coming out. Making our journey, and the flat tires, to animal pets getting sick, and having to delay our trip, and waking up in the morning to a flat tire on the fifth wheel trailer, and all these kinds of things that people run, problems that you can normally have on the road. But I think it was just Satan trying to slow us down and discourage us from coming out on this journey. And once we got here, and started working, we started building. We built a an adequate community, facilities, solar, energy, power, all those kinds of things. My background had prepared me for to be able to set up and build buildings and put in plumbing and have water and all the necessities that we need for life. And we were able to accomplish that. And towards the end of last year, really the beginning of last year, the Lord had different plans for me, and this is one of the interesting things that whenever you do say yes to the Lord, He He'll reward you. And I'd have to cut this out. So He brought into my life someone that I hadn't really looked at in that way. Elizabeth had been brought to the community also just about the same time I had, and she became a big part of the ministry here in the community, and allowing us to get real estate, and that was her background, and to administer. She was brought in to be an administrator and also to be Mother Claire's replacement whenever she's taken in the rapture. And Elizabeth hears from the Lord also, like Mother Claire does. And anyway, the Lord brought us out here, unbeknownst to both of us, that He was going to join us in marriage. And neither one of us were looking for that. I've been single for many years, and Elizabeth was a recent widow, and she wasn't interested in getting remarried, but the Lord had other plans, and He knew better. He knows what's best for us. And he even though we don't know what's best for ourselves, He brings these things about, and all we have to do is say yes. And He's rewarded us with a beautiful marriage. We got married about a month ago, and we're living happily ever after, as the cliche says. We're very happy and thankful to the Lord for what He's done in our lives in bringing us together into this ministry. We've since once. Even before we got married, He was preparing us to begin a new ministry, as he has done for other people in this ministry, to go out. We come to the refuge for a reason, to be prepared to go out and to start new ministries, and that's what He's doing with us. He's done that with Mother Elisha and Brother Derek and David and Sister Therese, and through James and Hadassah and different people He's brought here and brought them together and then sent them out. And we're just another one of those couples that He sent out. And we're starting the ministry nearby the Mountain Refuge. We're calling it the Desert Community, the Desert Ministry, and we have a channel called Desert Heartdwellers on YouTube that you're welcome to check out also. And Elizabeth is our spiritual channel. Oh, that's right. Our spiritual channel is we have a website called desertheartdwellers.org, and but we also on YouTube our channel is Heartdwellers Texas, and we also have one called End Times Refuge, because the Lord has called me to be a builder in these times, and I'm building a brand new refuge from scratch, off grid, out here in the desert. And we have created a YouTube channel for that as well, called End Times Refuge, all one word, on YouTube. And you can, we're doing little messages on how to build a refuge and off grid. And anyway, so that's my journey to the refuge that the Lord has brought me to, and I hope it encourages you. Especially the idea of a refuge, so we can build our own refuges in our own homes and turn our home into a refuge. And so the Lord has brought me to the refuge, but I think He wants us all to be ready during these end times for to be able to refuge in our homes and to prepare our homes for refuge. And there's certain things that you can do, and if you'll check out that website, that YouTube channel, you can see some of those things. Anyway, God bless you, and thank you for listening.